which is the proposed lease of part of Tamatea Reservoir site for telecommunications purposes. Now, we did allow a presentation, agenda item number 1, from the Tamatea Street residents, shall we say, for the want of a better word, en masse, basically objecting to the proposal, which Council had a resolution to 2 degrees to go out and consult on, which obviously they have done. Consultation process has resulted in where we are today, which what appears to be strong opposition from the Tamatea Street residents, as you probably know, because of health reasons, sight lines, devaluations of property, which they presented to us earlier. So I'll really open it up for you to give us a bit of a presentation on where you stand. Maybe the councillors might want to ask some questions, such as Plan B, Plan C, Plan D, and things like that. So welcome here today, and we will hand over to you. Oh, Miss Rawley, sorry. The rose amongst the thorns. Sorry.
Thank you, Worship. I'd just like to introduce the 2 degree representatives I have with me today. I have Mr. Mana Forbes, I have Ron Bush, and I have Brad Clark. And I'm sure they would be delighted to present their case if they are given that opportunity. You've already heard from the residents earlier today, and you have a copy of the written responses they made to the proposal. I don't intend to go through the entire report unless, of course, you wish me to, but I would like to make some salient points before the 2 degrees representatives have their opportunity to speak. Initially, although this was deemed to be a significant decision due to the likelihood that it would generate considerable public controversy, this does not seem to have eventuated. There is some strong feeling amongst people living next to the site or within about 100 metres of the site, but the issue doesn't seem to have gripped the wider community to the extent that it may have. It really does seem to focus immediately around that site.
Well, they're the most affected, aren't they?
They are, yes, they are.
Doesn't worry me at Acacia Bay, eh?
I guess you wouldn't compare it to something like the motor camp, for instance.
Oh, don't
that
compare it to
grips
that.
the entire community.
Please. Hang on, leave it till the end, Councillor Mincher, please. Yeah. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
I'll carry on. The proposed facility has been granted resource consent as its degree of non-compliance with the district plan was deemed to be minor. The site preferred by the applicant is elevated, and if the mast and antenna is built, it will be visible from a number of public locations around Taupo. Now, you've already seen the photo montages of the way it would look from residents' backyards, but there is no denying that it will be visible from further afield from that. But of course, that is the intention of putting a mast and antenna on top of a hill, is that it will be visible from a long way because you need that line of sight. However, the fact that it is visible does not mean that it is having adverse effects that are more than minor. Just because you can see it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. You'll be able to see it as you drive down Kittle Drive. You'll be able to see it from Taupo Intermediate School. You'll be able to see it from a number of places. Doesn't mean it's bad. Now, if 2 degrees are to provide the service they intend to provide to Taupo, the alternative to the site will be 2 antennae located on public roads only a few metres from residential boundaries. This is essentially duplicating the effects from one area in 2 others. The only mitigating factor is that in the road environment where there are already electricity poles and transmission lines, the visual effects of the antenna may be less intrusive, but then of course there's the cumulative effects of a number of different facilities in the street. The main objections that residents have to the lease are based on potential health effects for reserve users and surrounding residents, loss of amenity for surrounding residents, loss of value of surrounding properties, that the new facility isn't necessary for the applicant to continue to provide an adequate service, the risk of proliferation of competing sites, adverse effects on intrinsic amenity, recreation and landscape values of the reservoir site, and obstruction and diminishment of views. Now, I'm sure that the 2 degrees representatives we have here today will probably wish to elaborate or answer questions on some of those matters, and they can probably answer them a lot better than I can. But these concerns will be common to most sites in the residential area. They're certainly not specific to that site. Anywhere that you put masts and antennae in the residential area, you are going to get objections. The main difference is that in this case the reservoir site requires a council decision for a lease. The applicant wouldn't require a lease to erect a new pole in the legal road corridor, but they would require permission to utilise a lamppost for this purpose. However, use of a lamppost would be preferable to erection of a new pole, as it wouldn't result in an additional structure in the road corridor.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rawley. Do you want to take questions now, or do you want to add to that and come in? Because I've already got councillors' hands up. How do you want it? It's your show, so to speak. Okay, I'll take the questions as they are at this time. Councillor Minster.
Ms. Rawley, in respect of that comment, the wider community, I've had more phone calls about 2 degrees invading this town with towers than stuff that gets dropped in the forest. So it is a massive issue for the entire community. It's not just this site. It's the entire community has been approaching me. For anywhere these sites are, people are concerned. So it's the ball's in 2 degrees court to convince the public that the only way forward is putting these around all the streets and side streets and industrial properties that are actually part of the industrial market on a daily basis, compared to one particular tower site or two. No one in the community out there understands that you can't take the other option. That's, like I say, there's lots and lots. So I just, in respect, say it's not affecting the wider community, it's not just this reserve, it's all around town. The comments from anywhere they're going has been reflected back to myself that they're very concerned.
Councillor Minster, is it a statement or a question?
It's a statement to in respect to Ms. Rawley.
Councillor Downard.
Thanks. The last presentation that you gave us before we said that it needs public consultation, again there was only 2 options that you kind of gave us, and one I kind of felt as though it was a kind of no one wants a telecommunications antenna on their power pole outside their house, and those were the only 2 options that we were given. Surely there must be another option of outside in an industrial area, on a hill, outside the residential area.
That's really a question.
Worship, councillors, back here. Councillor, if we had alternative options, we would have put them up. I ask that you accept this report as being read, and everything there is, we can reiterate on every point. We have significant expertise within the company, and when we have other people saying there's that option, that option, that option, I ask you to accept that we have gone down every pathway, and that is the alternative. If it's not in this backyard, then other people will perceive that we're putting it in their backyard, and that's over to you. You know, for every person, we can give you 10-fold level of support for every person that you say you. Please, Councillor, I'm not attacking you.
No, it's a comment. I'm saying reflecting the community.
Yes. We have a 10-fold level of support. It might not be the generation that you have behind us, but it's the next generation and the one behind them. Okay, why? Because they have become au fait, they use the technology far more than we do. Not only that, do you know what Wi-Fi is? Yeah? What do you think it is? And where do you think it comes from? And where is it placed? How many people have rung up and said, I don't like this free Wi-Fi that we have at this shopping centre. I don't like the free Wi-Fi we have here. I don't like this Wi-Fi. And we have Wi-Fi now being placed in our secondary schools and in our primary schools in this country. We have a responsibility locally, nationally and internationally for this place. And you are the people who manage that. And if you want people to come to this town, to the magnificence of the winter playground and in summer playground, then you need to provide the infrastructure for it. But we have the support tenfold for everyone who's saying no. We can provide a lot of support and a lot of energy behind that support to carry this through. But the answer is, sir, that is the option. That's the alternative.
You're just giving us those.
Okay, let's. I respect what you're saying, but let's try and stick to the question as they're asked, because I'm going to run out of time today, and I want to try and chair it properly. So, Councillor Minch, you've had one go. Make it a question.
Yeah, just a question. Manu, respect that it's the product is, we can't deny the product. It's the delivery of the product that we're discussing. You say the options, but we need to see, is it the options based on cost or convenience? Because if it's only cost, we don't think we agree with the option being chosen.
Can I please answer that one? I'm sorry, I'm Ron Bush from 2 Degrees. Project manager, I led the team to do all the acquisition here in Taupo. In attachment 1 in your paper is the outline of where we looked on a number of sites and why they were discounted, or in a number of cases it was property owners not wanting facilities on their properties, or coverage were not met. And this site has to fit into the others around the area. So we do have a site over in the industrial area in Mero Street, Manuka Street area. We have other ones around. So this one needs to fill in a hole in our coverage around the Tamatea area, Hilltop area. So we have provided you with evidence of what we have done.
Can I ask Ron, that still doesn't address cost, it's more convenient. I'm hearing convenience rather than cost, compared to saying one major site somewhere out high that might be a greater cost, but it's more convenient to the community and gives you the service. You're not sort of put cost in there.
Cost doesn't really enter into our equation. It's about a delivery of a service to customers and people, and it's very similar to broadband, like on your home line. The closer you are to the exchange, the faster the speed you get. So the closer you are to the sites, the faster the speed you'll get, and the better capacity you can have for delivery of that service to people. So a high site in a distance doesn't work for the same reasons.
Okay, cool. Councillor Kipper.
I have 2 questions. First one to staff, Ms. Rawley. We've had quite a representation from the close residents to the site submitting. If council was not to allow this aerial to go there, and we put and 2 Degrees applied and put it somewhere else near another community of interest, what would our position be then? We'd have another large group of submissions and so on, etc. Is that the case?
It would depend very much on the alternative site that 2 Degrees applied to occupy. If it's a site that does not belong to council, i.e. it's privately owned, then the only hoops they'd have to jump through would be the resource consent process. And if they can stay within the performance standards of the district plan, then it would be a permitted activity. If it is a site that council controls, i.e. a piece of council land or a council asset such as a lamppost, for instance, then there would be a degree of council decision that would need to be made. Now, whether that would be made by councillors or by council staff is a matter that would be subject to council's delegation policy.
My second question. My second question was to 2 Degrees staff. If you couldn't put it in the water reserve, would you nail it to a power post on any of the streets around the reserve? And if so, your view on that is you can do that as of right. Is that the case?
Under the National Environmental Standard, there is options to replace facilities in the roadside, such as light poles. Light standards are typically the ones. The option, if we don't go ahead with this site, to achieve the same coverage, we would need one down Kittle Drive, Tarepa corner area, and the other one is further down Tarepa Namutu Road intersection area.
The question was, you don't require permission to do that, do you?
That's right.
Yes or no?
No, we don't.
Because we don't own the power poles.
No, we can, 2 options. Either we can use an existing council-owned lamppost.
We don't own the lampposts.
Exactly, as of right, or have our own local group as of right. It's both we can do.
As of right. So if this was declined today, your plan B is you're going to go and bolt them on the lamppost. As of right.
As of right.
With no objections can be listened to. And is there a plan C?
Well, no, we are providing network in Taupo. This is what we need to do.
Look, I know Councillor Downer wants to ask a question, Councillor Johnson. We'll just, I just got a couple more before I go to Councillor Johnson, then Councillor Downer.